Hi, it's Jez here from Nigezza.co.uk. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm bringing you the card I made for the colour combo blog hop. So every month we're given 3 colours that we have to create something with. And this month it's Sahara Sand, Misty Moonlight and Highland Heather. And I was just so excited with this colour combo. Some of them I take a while to think about, but these ones it was like, ooh, I'm really excited. I really like this sort of colour combo. So I'm gonna use the Ornate style stamp set, and I'm going to use this large image, which I don't think I've brought you a card with it before. I have designed a few, but I don't think I've filmed any yet. So, and I'm going to use a technique that I saw. I do a monthly blog hop, vlog video hop. And the other week we did, last month we did one stamp set 4 ways, and Ruth from the Artful Stamper did this technique, which basically she called it the Splat technique, I think, and I just loved it. So I've had a play with it, and so I'm going to be using that today. There was a little bit of something on my stamp there, so I had to get off. So basically you don't have to use a stamp positioning tool if you haven't got one. This is actually the first time I'm using it. I have done it by hand before. So what I've got here is, this is thick Whisper White, because this is going to get quite wet, and I've cut it to a 1/4 size of cardstock, so I will be cutting it down. So what I'm doing is I'm going to use Highland Heather, and I'm going to stamp up the image in Highland Heather to get that nice and inked up. And then I take a spritzer, which I had here a second ago, and I'm going to move this card a sec. You spray it, where's the spray it? You spray it, Ruth said about 5 times, so get it nice and wet. And then I'm going to put my paper back in now, and you just splat it down. And sort of like, the idea is you get a little bit of spraying of that ink. Sometimes you don't, but if you do, that's fabulous. And I have got a bit of spraying of it, and it's just a little bit of merging. Now you can do it so you have even more mixing of the colour, so maybe because of such a big stamp I could have maybe done it a little bit more saturated, but I'm quite happy with that. And then what you do is clean off the stamp, and I'm going to go over that in Misty Moonlight. Now you don't have to do it in different colours. I think it works quite well. I've done it before as a practice run. I did do it with a lighter colour and then a darker colour on the top, but you could stamp it in exactly the same colour over the top. And this is where having a stamp positioning tool is quite handy. I just thought I'm just going to give that a little bit of a blast. Just want to move. I was trying to move that off, but I just want to get this a bit drier. That's better. See, I was trying to move this off so it didn't dry the ink. Never mind, I'll go over it now. So now we know it's in the same position, but I have done it by hand. And so it was off slightly. I might show you the sample if I can remember where I put it. But this way, you're going directly on top of the image. And I think it gives it a really nice effect. It might have still been a little bit wet there. But you get this nice sort of effect with the colour underneath. So I'm gonna do it again with the with it a bit more splattered. So I've got another bit of thick Whisper White, and I'm going to do a few more spritzes so that we get a little bit more of that Highland Heather showing underneath, because that's what I got before. As well, when I haven't done this with the stamp positioning tool, so when I've stamped the Misty Moonlight image on it, it's not been directly on top, so that you could see a bit more like that, and that's actually the more of the effect that I want. So I'm going to squirt it a bit more. I remember where my squirter is. So I say Ruth said do it 5 times, at least 5 times, but it's such a big stamp there, so I've got lots of pooling going on there. So we'll see what effect we get now. So that on there, and we're just going to go splat like that. Press it down. I can see the ink running on the outside. There, so we've got a much more spread of colour there, which is great. So that just looks like one almighty mess, but that's fine. And I'm gonna just take this off a sec whilst I dry it off. There, so that's that dried off there. I'll put that back in position, so you can see how the ink is much more spread about there. So we're going to be able to see that underneath much more. So when I saw Ruth do it, she had a smaller image, but I just remember watching it thinking, wow, what a lovely technique. Need to have a go at that. So now we're gonna ink it back up with this. This is the lovely Misty Moonlight. I think these two colours go really well together. When I saw this as the colour combo, I thought, I know what I want to do with that. So then we just stamp that on top. And I say, because I've used the stamp positioning tool, it is going directly in the right place. But when I did it in practice, I didn't use the stamparator, I just did it by hand. I might just go over these side bits a bit more. It's one of the things I like about the stamparatus. If you feel that you've missed a bit, then you can just come in and do it again. So that is the difference between 5 squirts and lots of squirts, so you do get quite a different effect depending on how wet you make your stamp set. Just going to squirt that a bit more so I get it nice and clean. My chamois needs wetting a bit more. There we go. And you can see the difference on this one. I didn't use stamp positioning tool, so you've got it's not exactly on top as opposed to that one that is directly on top. So yeah, so we've got 2 different ones, 2 different looks there, but I'm going with this one. That's the one I want. So I'm going to move these out of the way and get that mounted on my card. So I've got a Sahara Sand card base. I've got a mat in Misty Moonlight, and often I gut it, but I've just sort of taken bits out. Now I need to cut this down, so I need to cut this to my 2nd card mat size. So I need to take a bit off there, so I'm going to take half off this side. I have my trimmer marked here to the sizes, and they will all be over on my blog, nigezza.co.uk, and I'm going to do the same on here. Take that down, and then that will mat on that mat nicely. I always think that it makes it pop a bit more if you've got the darker around your card mat, because it makes it stand out a little bit more. Get rid of those bits. And what I did as well to bring in some of the Sahara Sand is I took a Sahara Sand Stampin' Right marker, and I'm just going to flick it around the edge. Bring that colour in, sort of to help with that sort of splat look. And then I'm going to go around and sort of colour in some of the middles of these flowers. So I thought that looked a bit better. And I did sponge round the edge of it as well. So I thought that would look quite nice. So taking my sponge dauber, do like these. You can just use ordinary sponge or any other spongy blending tool that you might have. I think that looks quite nice there. And then it's just a matter of sticking it all together, and then I'm going to do a greeting going round the edge of this, and then on here going round these bits as well, so that it gets a good stick down, because it is slightly warped with the water and the drying, so we want it to stick really well. And then that's ready to stick on the card front there. And I will need a Whisper White mat for the inside as well. Although it is quite a light colour for writing on, but actually I like to finish the insides off with a mat. And then for the sentiment, I'm using the Happy Birthday from Posted to You. I just think that's such a pretty font. And I'm going to do that on a bit of Misty Moonlight. I thought I'd got my scrap out, but clearly not. There's my Misty Moonlight. So I'm going to heat emboss this with white. So I'm going to I'm going to, stopped half through the sentence, didn't it? I'm going to stamp it in Versamark, was what I wanted to say. And then I had my white embossing powder not very long ago, and now I can't find it. Fell down the shelf. So there we go. I did do this in Sahara Sand, but I didn't like the look of it, so I decided to stick. Go, and then I'm going to do something with this which I've seen a lot of people do, and I've not tried it yet, so I'm doing it on this one, is where you sort of fussy cut it. Now I'm just going to cut this off, and then I'm just going to fussy cut round. Now I want to do the happy and the birthday separately, so I'm just cutting round but leaving an edge. around the stamping. And I really like the look of this when I've seen it on other people's cards. And because this is like a splat card, I thought having a non-uniform sentiment would be quite good. Goes with the whole sort of messiness. Across there. And I'm just going to get some mini dimensionals and pop them up. Oh, pen pot fell over. So up on there, on there. Perfect. I was worried a bit then that I might have cut it too thin to fit these. Mind you, that wouldn't have mattered because I'd have just cut them in half. So let's do our happy birthday, like so. And that is my card. Now I do have the little enamel dots which I could put, but actually no, I think that's enough. I think that's enough with that. So I hope you like that. So that is my colour challenge card. So I will link, there'll be a link down below to take you to this blog post, and there'll be a link to the original blog hop as well, so you can go and see what everybody else has made with this lovely colour combination, which I think is really, really nice. Okay, thank you for joining me, and I will see you again soon with another project. Okay, bye for now.